Here's what happened in the last episode. I got this great idea for a docuseries, but gave up when I couldn't find interview subjects, but it would come back to haunt me until I went all in. And I ended up finally getting a message back. So did it end up working out? Well, yes and no. They gave me an email to message, but it bounced back. I went back to clarify and they ended up giving me a different one. And this one went through. So I waited a day, then another day, and still no response. One question I've gotten from friends and families, and what the hell are co-ops anyway? So let me explain. Co-op is short for cooperatives. These are alternative for-profit business structures that are essentially based on democratic principles and equal participation. And a couple of other really important principles. And the cool part is that there's different kinds of co-ops. There's a consumer co-op. Customers like you own the business, elect a board, and make decisions together, democratically. They can also include things like discounts on goods or a share of the profits. Here's more facts about consumer co-ops. More than 7,000 credit unions serve 100 million customers in the US. More than 42 million customers receive electricity from the National Electric Cooperative Association. Over 1 million families have an affordable, pleasant place to live through consumer housing cooperatives. PCC Natural Markets in Seattle is the largest consumer-owned food co-op at more than 56,000 members. Then there's worker co-ops. In worker-owned cooperatives, they're not owned by shareholders, but rather by employees in equal portions. These are some of the things you have to have in order to be considered a worker co-op. It must be a business entity has one or more classes of members. Workers have a path to ownership. Earnings and losses are allocated on basis of patronage. Worker members have controlling ownership interest. Governing body is elected by worker members on basis of one member, one vote. And decisions about return on capital investments are made by worker members or the governing body. I did end up getting a message, but it wasn't from a co-op. It was actually from someone interested in the project. So we set up a time to Zoom call, and I guess we'll see how it goes. Anyway, back to co-ops. Then there's producer co-ops. These co-ops are businesses owned by the people who produce similar types of goods or services, aka the producers. They are often referred to as supplier or marketing co-ops. It can help members reach bigger markets. They share the cost of things like processing or equipment and negotiate better deals together. Some examples of producer cooperatives are Ocean Spray, Organic Valley, and Q Artist Cooperative. One that's kind of similar to producer co-ops but a little different is a purchasing or shared service cooperative. These co-ops consist of businesses or organizations that combine member demand to achieve better pricing and delivery of products or services. Some examples of these kind of co-ops are Ace Hardware, Carpet One, Independent Pharmacy Cooperative, and educational and institutional cooperative services. And if you weren't confused yet, you're about to be. The final form of a co-op is called the multi-stake hybrid cooperative. Let's recap. Consumer co-ops are owned by its consumers. Worker co-ops are owned by its workers. Producer co-ops are owned by producers. The producers, workers, and consumers are usually referred to as a member class or stakeholders. So multi-stakeholder cooperatives are owned and controlled by more than one type of membership class or stakeholder. And to take this further, other forms of stakeholders can include volunteers, community supporters, organizations like nonprofits, government agencies, or other cooperatives. So you see how this gets complex really quick? Let's take this example of a multi-stakeholder co-op, the Fifth Season Cooperative. So the Fifth Season Cooperative is a regional food hub that aggregates and distributes locally grown produce, meats, dairy, and value-added products. This cooperative has 6 member classes that span the entire supply chain: producers, producer groups, processors, distributors, buyers, and workers. And this combination of member classes are kind of endless, making multi-stakeholder cooperatives like the most customizable of the co-ops. In conclusion, I have a Zoom call to get to. We talked for a while about our experiences, love of video, and fascination with co-ops.
Hi, so I'm Vanna Loaiza. I'm based out of the South. I have worked in the labor movement. I've worked in the nonprofit space. I became really interested in worker co-ops once I became a videographer and started filming worker stories. I realized that we needed a series where we interviewed workers. When I found out about this project, I knew that I had to reach out and I had to offer my support.
I wonder if we can turn this project into some sort of co-op. Subscribe to the channel to see the next episode. Or join the Locals community to help support this project.